get a cup of tea.
Exceptional, desirable, successful, undeniable, adaptable, agreeable,
Good morning, good morning, good morning. We're all in our places with sunshiny faces, and we actually have a sunshiny day here in Milwaukee. We're so happy you're with us. I'm Mary Gabrielson. I'm the minister here at Unity Center in Milwaukee, and we do welcome you to a celebration of love, a celebration of joy. Unity is a place that honors all spiritual paths, particularly the one that you were on, so everyone can come and feel at home, be loved and accepted just as you are. We begin our celebration every Sunday with a statement of faith. The statement is, there's only one presence, one power, active in the universe and in my life, God the good, omnipotent. Speak that truth with me. There's only one presence and one power, active in the universe and in my life, God the good, omnipotent. Thank you. It's a great way to start the day. I want to share something with you that came from our Unity Worldwide Ministries, and it's written by Reverend Dr. Temple Hayes, who is a Unity minister. She calls it the We Generation Manifesto, and I think it speaks so clearly to who and what Unity is about. We are difference makers. We respect all beings and all cultures. We believe in the right of all life to live in freedom and peace. We support human rights, civil rights, equal rights, gay rights, religious rights, animal rights, children's rights, elder rights, and the ecological rights of this planet and beyond. We believe in helping each other. We believe in energy channeled, vibrant, enthusiastic, and strong. We are passionate about peace through prayer and through people. And we care for ourselves and for each other. We participate and we make a difference. I don't know much about your practices and your beliefs, but that speaks to me so perfectly. It's like bold, underlined exclamation point for what we in Unity teach and preach. So this morning we're going to begin our celebration, and we're going to ask that Joanne Bauman read the daily word for us. So we're starting in a brand new month, and let's get ready.
Good morning on this beautiful sunshiny day. Today's reading is about world peace. I contribute to peace in the world. When I learn of conflict in my community or in the world, my response may be frustration, sadness, or anger. If I have those feelings, I remember that I am more than merely human. I am a living expression of God, heir to all that God is. I use my divine faculties of wisdom, understanding, and love to create the abiding peace that is my birthright. Centered in divine peace, I realize that every person is as much an expression of God as I am. As differences dissolve in a way that transcends human understanding, I come to know oneness with all the world's people. I let this realization shape my response to every person and every situation. In an awareness of my oneness with all people, my thoughts, words, and actions contribute to peace in the world. And from John chapter 17, verse 22, the glory that you have given me, I have given them, so that they may be one as we are one. And so it is. I'd also like to invite you to tune in to my podcast. You can find it at SoundCloud at Unity Church in Milwaukee. And the subject is miracle-minded thinking, teaching you how to think like Jesus thought and be a miracle-minded person. See you there. Thank you.
For those of you who are not part of our in-house family when we're able to meet together, you are not aware of the fact that each month we celebrate a disciple, a spiritual power, a color, and this month, the beginning of the month, we always talk about who we are looking at and the power. The power we're looking at is power, and the disciple is Philip. And where is power found in your body? It's at the base of your tongue, because there's power in the word. So in this day together, we also celebrate birthdays or anniversaries that are happening within the month. Promise you I will not sing because I will scare you. But you know the words and the tune to Happy Birthday. And we also say Happy Special Day to those who are celebrating anniversaries. So with that thought in mind, let us continue our celebration today. I want to talk today about the ending or the beginning. It is, the title is New Beginnings, but it's the ending of our long series that we've had. But before I do that, I want to invite our musician for today, Julie, to share some special words through music with you.
My life flows on in endless song, above earth's lamentation. I hear the real, though far-off sound that hails a new creation. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? What though the darkness round me close, I know the truth it liveth. What though the tempest round me roars, songs in the night it giveth. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. Since love is Lord of heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing?
Julie, thank you for blessing us with that gift of music. We're always so delighted when you're with us. You bring such energy and heart, and it makes us smile. Thank you. So new beginnings. Wow. It seems like it's taken us a long time to get through the journey of this book that we've been working with, the book by Robert Brummett called Finding Yourself in Transition. And I don't even think I knew what was going to happen when we started this book, because we've kind of had interruptions along the way, but I think it's perfect for where we are in this time, because we're all in a state of transition, and yet it's kind of like that hurry up and wait feeling. We don't quite know what the next step is. We don't quite know where we move to, what's going to happen, what's going to unfold. So there's a sense of disquiet, a sense of disquiet within our souls. My sense about new beginnings is that the important thing for us to remember is when we're talking about a new beginning, something that is happening at a deep, deep soul level, we've got to remember that on the other side of this process, there are wonderful open arms. They're the arms of spirit, the arms of love that are there to welcome us into this new home that is our new beginning. And the new home is a place where we can feel at ease and comfortable, because this period of time, this transitional time, has not been particularly comfortable for hardly anyone that I know of. And I can hardly wait till we get back to the place where we can be meeting together and reaching out to one another. And then I have to wonder, well, is the new norm going to let us reach out to one another and touch? Or is it going to be the what I call the hacky sack feet, or the very dramatic steps that you do with the tango, where you're connecting but you're not connecting, and it's all done at the foot level. I'm not real coordinated, so I'm hoping that's not the case. But let's begin. Let's begin with new beginnings. During this time that we've been studying this book, I've been doing a lot of inner work, and not just personal work. I've been doing a lot of soul work. You might say soul recovery work, because it seems like there are times when even our souls are fragmented in some way by everything that is going on around us, and what's going on around us is an outpicture of what's going on within us. So, there's a lot of energy, and it's not all ease and grace. That's such a disappointment. That's my favorite byword. Ease and grace. Anything that's going on, ease and grace, we'll get through it. But that's not happening in this particular period of time. So the exploration of this topic, finding yourself in transition, has been a way of looking at life's changes as the vehicles that help move us into a greater state of spiritual awakening, into a deepening of our spiritual practice, into a deepening of knowing who we really are. I want to share with you some words that I know are familiar to you, particularly those of you that studied the Transcendentalist. These are words by Henry David Thoreau. He writes, "I learned this, at least, by my experience, that if one advances confidently in the direction of his dreams and endeavors to live the life he has imagined, he will meet with a success unexpected in common hours. He will pass an invisible boundary. New and liberal laws will begin to establish themselves or in and around him, or the old laws will be expanded and interpreted in his favor in a more liberal sense, and he will live with a lightness of a higher order of being." He will live with the lightness of a higher order of being. This is such a rich and profound passage, isn't it? I love his languaging. It just paints such a vivid picture for me. And the idea of moving in the direction that we are dreaming of, living in the direction of our soul's vision for us. That's a beautiful thought. Endeavoring to live in such a way that we are in alignment with that vision, and things start to happen. And when we operate from that very deep level, things in the outer begin to change. And according to Thoreau, we'll be living and experiencing new and more liberal laws, or the old laws will expand in a new way that we might step into a whole new alignment, a whole new realm of life and living. And the idea that a true new beginning has grounded in it is this important realization. External change is not necessarily a true new beginning. External change is not necessarily a true new beginning. Oh darn. As an example, one could divorce their partner and marry again and find out they were in the exact same marriage but with a new partner. So the dance didn't change. Nothing changed in their consciousness or their way of relating. They stayed basically stuck in the same thing. On the other hand, a whole new way of living, a whole new beginning, is a brand new dance. And it could be a brand new dance with the same partner or with a new partner. But something has changed dramatically on the inner that will reflect to what happens on the outer. So here are some thoughts I want to share with you about this. External changes can trigger the need for a new beginning, but ultimately new beginnings are about deep internal change. Let me say that again. External changes can trigger the need for a new beginning, but ultimately new beginnings are about deep internal change. It's about something that's going on at a soul level, at a very deep core part of our being. It's about a new identity that is being forged in the very midst of what's happening around us. So we no longer experience ourselves in the same way. We experience ourselves very much in a way that Jesus talked about when he said being born again. Note, double exclamation point, many stars. Being born again talks about something that is happening internally. We're not talking about a religious transformation or a religious change. That is something that happens on the outer. That's something that happens pretty easily. But what we're talking about when he was talking about being born again is birthing a new soul, or perhaps rebirthing our soul would be a better way to put it. It's a way to heal our soul and fundamentally shift at the very core of our being. And as we do that work on the inner, that deep inner level, it radiates to the outer. And all sorts of things around us start to change. We find ourselves, as Thoreau says, stepping into a new and more liberal way of being. We find ourselves that the old laws have expanded, or the new laws are more universal and liberal. And in either case, we are living fundamentally different lives. We are experiencing life, experiencing opportunities, experiencing our challenges, experiencing our relationships, experiencing the very centering perception of life in a totally new and different way. Think about that for a moment. The second thought I want to share is about true new beginnings touch the core of who we are and our sense of identity of ourselves. In other words, after the person gets a divorce, they might say, well, who am I now? Who am I now? After your kids are launched, they're out the door, they're launched, who are you now? Now, what do you do? How do you do things? What is your identity now? How does it inform you about the way that you're going to live your life? After you retire, who are you now? You know, retirement is not an event. It is an opportunity to really do some of our deepest work. When we're stripped of all the things that we've been and done, and all the labels that we've worn, and all the things that we have physically done, and the things that we have thought we were doing, when we take all of that away, who are we now? Who am I now? Who do I want to be? Those are really important questions. And after any kind of a change in our life, a financial setback, or heaven forbid, you should win the lottery or the Publishers Clearinghouse. I just want to say I apologize to my family and friends. They did not show up at my door on Thursday. I told you they would, but they didn't. So, sorry. None of the big treats and prizes and trips are going to happen this month. Oh well. So even a financial windfall can make us need to change. It changes the way that we look at our lives. Who am I now after the death of my beloved? Who am I now after the death of my life partner? It's not enough to ask, what do I do now? That's a surface level question. What do I do now is out here on the surface. But before we can even answer that, we got to go deeper, dive deeper and say, who am I now? Who do I now want to be? What is my soul calling me to be? Brummett writes in his book, he gives us a couple of exercises, and they can be taken very lightly at kind of the surface level, very basically, or they can be taken at depth, which is where I think he's offering them. He wants us to do that deep dive, to do that soul work, and ask from a very deep place, what is my soul drawn to? What is my soul longing to draw me to? If I were to have today as the very last day of my earthly life, I would wonder, are there any things that my soul feels have been left undone? And if there are, I want to know about them now, not then. So these are the types of questions that will fundamentally shift the quality of our life experience. The quality of our life experience. I don't know about you, but I don't want to just live at the surface level. I don't want to just play at the surface level. It's easy, light, but I feel like I am drawn to having a deeper experience of life. And does that mean it's always fun? Oh, heavens no. I wish I could say it was. That'd be a little more inviting, wouldn't it? It's not, but it's always interesting and it's always enlightening. I learn something every single time. I choose to do that deep dive, that I choose to look at what's really going on. And my sense is, if you're with us today, or any of the days that we are here as a family within this abode, you're not here just to hang out. You're not here to just dabble in spirituality. There is something in you that you want to experience, something more that you want to experience, something more that you want to be, that you want to express in your world. And I really believe that's true of us, that we are committed to that deeper exploration of who we are, who we really want to be, and that you too want to go to these core ideas, these core questions, and begin finding in yourself that place where you begin to make some changes in your thinking. And when you do that, whatever you're thinking changes in the outer. Things change around you. So when you're at that place, whatever has triggered the need for that deep soul recovery work, it's going to awaken you to something newer, higher, and better. Thoreau calls it a higher level of being. I think that's true. As an aside, I know I do this too often, but anyways, I was just reading something about the coronavirus and about illness as a matter of fact in all phases. And it talked about what happens when children get sick. They always get a temperature, don't they? Yeah, they get a temperature. And after that temperature has gone, they have somehow taken a step forward in their growth. Now, we may not see it immediately or recognize it, but something has changed internally in them. We could say from a metaphysical standpoint, well, when you have a temperature, you're burning off the dross. You're releasing that which no longer serves. And I think that's true. Because what this author was talking about, the author happens to be not only a physician, but a metaphysician, a spiritual teacher as well. And she was saying that as adults, we run this fever, we get through to the other side, and we are changed. We are changed, not just because we're all of a sudden feeling better, but we are changed in our consciousness in some way. And I found that to be quite comforting when I think of all the people that are going through illness of all kinds, not just this current pandemic. Back to the topic at hand. The third idea is stepping into a new beginning is sort of a dance process. It's a process of letting go and surrendering, which I don't know about you, but that's never been one of my gifts. It is always one of my growing edges, letting go and surrendering. Some people can just do it with ease and grace. Some not. But the whole idea of this dance process is a learning process. So we let go and surrender. We come into a phase of consciousness where it's like a new beginning. We have new ideas, new experiments of things we want to try, new ways of being, new choices, new plans. And then we kind of plateau in that level, and then we go through the letting go and surrendering again. Whatever is no longer serving us, we go through again. So we keep moving forward, but it's a constant cyclical process of coming to a point of, new options, new choices, new plans, learning and growing through those, letting go and surrendering, and then starting again. And it's a lovely thing to think about if you can think in terms of dancing. I'm not talking about dancing today, dancing. I'm talking about old-fashioned dancing, where you actually touch your partner. And when you're dancing the old-fashioned way, you have to be awake and aware, don't you? Because sometimes you're going to be leading and sometimes you're going to be following. And if you're not awake and aware, somebody's told you're going to get stepped on. Somebody might get kicked. Somebody might get embarrassed. So it's about staying awake and staying aware of when it is time to move forward and when it's time to move back. So in spirit, there are definitely those times that we are leading, we're moving forward, and then there are also those times that we're taking a step back. Oh, I need to step away. Oh, I need to let that go. And this dance is a nice way of thinking about what's going on as we're going through this process. Bob writes in the book, we are in partnership with the divine. At times we must lead, and at other times we must follow. And that's exactly what I've been talking about. You need to know when to lead and when to follow, when to step forward and when to step back. And again, if we find ourselves content just to live and dance on the surface of life, we're not going to enter into that very subtle nuance of Spirit's partnership. We're not going to feel it very well, if we feel it at all. But when we sense it, when we are willing to match our movements with it, we find that we're guided through the most difficult times, right to the other side of what is truly a new beginning. So the fourth idea is this. New beginnings always put us into unfamiliar territory. Have you noticed that? Unfamiliar territory. It's like, oh my goodness, what did I do to get here? What have I done now? But if you're keeping up with the story that Bob uses to illustrate through the book, he's talking about the story of the exodus of the Israelites, the Hebrew children, from Egypt into the Promised Land. But in this process, it can feel very uncomfortable, very unfamiliar. I think of the words to that song with Carole King. I feel the earth move under my feet. It's like nothing that was familiar, nothing that was comfortable, nothing that was dependable or solid. None of those things seem to be present as we're moving through this process. It's not a comfortable feeling. And so if we can kind of take a look at that story of Moses leading the people, we begin see how our lives parallel that process. So, if you remember the story, God says to Moses, I want you to lead the children of Israel up out of Egypt. And Moses said, oh, hot dang, I love that idea. I've been so excited about doing something big with my life. Thank you, God. No, that's not what he said at all. Moses hemmed and hawed and said, choose somebody else. He said, I'm not a good speaker. I stutter when I'm nervous. I don't feel like I have any idea of what we're going to be doing. I don't have a plan. But I know just the guy. You should talk to my brother Aaron. Aaron would be great at this. Aaron goes along. He's by Moses' side the whole time, but God totally ignores Aaron, and Moses manages to do okay. But here's the thing. Through this whole process, Moses is feeling unprepared, inadequate, not well equipped. He is dreading the whole thing. He doesn't feel he has the leadership gift to kind of keep people in line. He's not a happy guy. And he leads them, of course, after all the plagues and stuff, across the Red Sea into the desert where they are miserable. The people murmur. That's a lovely biblical way of saying that they complain a lot. Yeah, they complain a lot. And there's a lot of nanny. Part of it is it's all new to them. So if you think you've been in the void in any period in your life, going from an ending to a new beginning, what you think about them wandering for 40 years. 40 years is a long time. Now, really and truly, it wasn't a calendar year of 40 years. The 40 is a metaphysical number that means as long as it took. And one of the reasons that it took so long is that the old Hebrew consciousness had to die out. You know, lots of times in Scripture you read where, particularly in the Old Testament, where God says, you know, cleanse this place, and that means eradicate every living thing. And we always think, oh my God, that's so horrible. That's so awful. Well, what it means is we're going to get rid of every last negative thought. We're going to get rid of every old idea that didn't work. We're going to get rid of every piece of negativity, of lack of obedience to God. We're going to get rid of all of that. We're going to wipe all of that out. Remember Noah in the flood? Yeah. Well, that was the whole thing. We're going to cleanse the earth. So this thing about wandering for the 40 days or the 40 years is that it took a certain amount of time for the old way of thinking to die out. And it took a long time for them to again develop their dependence on God, to put God first in everything. And Noah did as good as he could. He did as good as he could in the position that he had. But he could not lead the Israelites into the promised land. That required a new way of thinking. So what happened with the new way of thinking is that a new leader came forth, and that leader was Joshua. And Joshua was a warrior, a military man. He was a man of action. He basically, what it tells us is that we need that those Joshua qualities in our consciousness. We need to change from the Moses and the old into a different consciousness that includes someone who takes charge, someone who moves ahead, someone who speaks with authority, for us to move into a true new beginning. Now, that's not a comfortable thing for a lot of us, but we need to first develop and then call upon that inner warrior. And it's that inner warrior that embodies the qualities of strength, courage, discipline, and commitment. The new inner warrior embodies the qualities of strength, courage, discipline, and commitment. Say those words with me. Strength, courage, discipline, and commitment. Those are biggies. Those are important pieces. So A true new beginning requires a new commitment from us, and a new commitment brings with us a new being, new behaviors, new habits, a new commitment to a new focus. And all of this has come out of deep inner work, the deep inner work of forging this new identity. And if we stay the course, if we are committed, we'll find that the whole of the universe will rush in to support us in seen and unseen ways. I think that sounds pretty encouraging. I like that idea. That when we really make the commitment, meaning I'm choosing this, not that, the commitment is not wishy-washy. There's no sitting on the fence, maybe this, maybe that. It's I'm choosing clearly this and not that. So we make that commitment, and that means that every single thing we do is towards the this, whatever the this is, that we are committing to. And we're letting go of all that stuff. We're not letting that be a barnacle that hangs on. We're letting all of that go. It's not included in our commitment. We're focusing on the this. And it's like this real razor fine edge of distinction. And it means you got to stay awake. I want to share some familiar words that I think put that underline, exclamation point, bold, in what we've been talking about today. And these are words that come from William H. Murray, and you've heard them many times before, but I invite you to listen to them from a deeper place. He says, until one is committed, there is a hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. Concerning all acts of initiative, there is one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and dreams, but that the moment one definitely commits to oneself, then providence moves too. All sorts of things occur to help one that would never otherwise have occurred. A whole stream of events issues from a decision, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents, meetings, and material assistance which no man could have dreamt the world would ever allow to come his way. No man could have dreamt would have come his way. It's an inside experience. It's an inside experience that when forged from a new experience of who and what we are, causes all sorts of external support to come rushing our way. And finally, remember that not all true new beginnings involve dramatic outer changes, but they do all involve deep inner changes. And a final word of caution, we must not force or try to force a true new beginning until there's really something that our soul is pulling us toward. You get that, right? That's the truth. Namaste. We're going to prepare for meditation, and so I'm going to invite you to become comfortable wherever you are, and if it's safe for you to close your eyes, do that. Allow my voice to be your voice as we enter this time of peace and quiet. Just as the spring season consummates Mother Nature's evolutionary process, so do we evolve in sync with its dance, perfecting the creative energies we've been nurturing throughout earlier seasons of our lives, which are now ready to blossom into expression in, as, and through us. The question is, how can we best prepare ourselves for this next evolutionary leap? The beautiful thing about this spiritual evolutionary process is that it takes place right on the altar of your own being. Just you and your higher self, communing as one. And in this sacred union, you enter a profound state of contentment, clarity, and receptivity. By anchoring yourself in such an affirmative state of consciousness, you empower yourself to enter the undiscovered regions of your being and blossom into more of your true self. It is through the practice of meditation that we learn to pay attention to reality, resulting in the realization of our oneness with God, with Spirit, with all there is. There is no substitute for this divine communion. And so if you have not yet found your own right meditation practice, I encourage you to do some research and select a technique that suits your nature. Because once we have tangibly tasted our oneness with Source, we become willing to surrender to its ongoing guidance and vision for our lives. Surrender requires our readiness, commitment, patience, and the intentionality wherein we can say to ourselves, I am on the threshold of a deepening state of consciousness, a new state of being, and I surrender to every aspect of its unfolding in and through me. We have now arrived at the outer blossoming of renewal, which is about putting into action our insights and how we are meant to deliver our gifts, talents, and skills as a beneficial presence on the planet. This aspect of renewal offers the opportunity to expand from a me and mine mindset into a we consciousness that we spoke about at the very beginning of our time together today. That we consciousness imparts every community in which we are involved, whether it's family or work, our spiritual community, our neighborhood, where we live. There is no question that changing in consciousness will help remove much of the stress that we find in this uncertain time. Let us rest in silence as we allow this important truth to resonate within our being. In the stillness of this moment, I am at peace. All of divine life is present where I am. I shine the light of divine life throughout my body, blessing and strengthening every structure in space, every atom and system. All of God and all of the divine life is fully present within me and around me. And I celebrate the wholeness of divine life in my body. I open my heart in oneness with all people, centered in one power, the power of God. I hold my heart open to all people. I heal my thoughts of separation in the unifying power of divine love. In the integrity of the truth I know, I insist on harmony in my thoughts and actions. I am one with God and one with all. Allow your mind and heart to come back to this moment in this place, that we may be present together. And when you are comfortable, open your eyes. We say, thank you, God. Thank you, God. Amen. This is the opportunity in our time together when we can give of our gifts. And while we're not together, hand in hand, we're still together in thought. And so we're going to pass the basket and ask that you take the gift that you wish to give today, hold it in your hands, and we will bless them together. Divine love in and through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, all that I am, and all that I receive. Thank you, God. And so it is. And now we have a gift of music from Julie.
Here's a song written by my friend Bill Staines, and today I'm with my friend Cap Lee and the metronome, our friend. We are crossing the water our whole life through. We are making a passage that is straight and true. Every heart is a vessel, every dream is a light, shining through the darkness of the blackest night. We are crossing the water our whole life through. We are making a passage that is straight and true. Every heart is a vessel, every dream is a light, shining through the darkness of the blackest night. Well, there is no shallow water, and not but love to keep us safely from the dangers and the devils of the deep. But with every breath within us, we search forevermore to find some peaceful harbor on that far-off shore. We are crossing the water our whole life through. We are making a passage that is straight and true. Every heart is a vessel, every dream is a light, shining through the darkness of the blackest night. For some it is a glory, our whole life through. We are making a passage that is straight and true. Every heart is a vessel, every dream is a light, shining through the darkness of the blackest night. Your turn, crossing the water. We are crossing the water, our whole life through. We are making a passage that is straight and true. Every heart is a vessel, every dream is a light, shining through the darkness of the blackest night.
Thank you, Julie. That was wonderful and a great song to go with New Beginnings. I'd like to remind you that if you are new to Unity or haven't been around as much, go to our webpage, Unity Center in Milwaukee. You can see on the webpage what our 5 core beliefs are. You can see a little bit about what we are normally teaching or what things are going on a regular basis. Of course, right now we're closed, but some things are being done via Zoom and online, so there are some possibilities there. Also, look for the Kids Connection and the Kids Corner. It's at the top of the page, and we have just started a new Facebook page for kids. So that is available for you to find great things to entertain your kids with, a lot of short things that'll keep the attention for little ones, and then of course things for older kids as well. So take a chance and get involved with us even though we're doing everything online. It's a great way to get to know more about us. As we close our time together, it's traditional that we speak the prayer for protection and that we sing the peace song, I Am Not Going to Sing. However, it will be sung. But first, let us speak the words of the prayer of protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And so it is. And now, let's listen to the peace song. So you got to say the prayer for protection twice, and it never hurts to do that. Look forward to seeing you again next time. This is Mary Gabrielson from Unity Center in Milwaukee. God bless and have a glorious weekend.